Coming to you from the Indian Media Production Studios, it's Three Dogs and a Dude. Hey everybody, Tobin Acevedo here, your host with Three Dogs and a Dude. Today we have a very special guest in studio. We have Jennifer Sanders with Beauties and Beasts Rescue, and she also works for the American Red Cross. This is one of the best people I know. She's got a heart of gold and gives way too much of her time for the charities and for these critters, just like little Pepper sitting here in studio with us. No clue how long she'll sit here, but we'll find out. So Jennifer, welcome. Appreciate you coming into the studio today.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
So I know Pepper was excited to see you. She greeted you at the door.
Yes.
Well, Bella was barking her head off, and she's sitting off in the wings here supervising. She's the director. So, I mean, do you ever have any free time?
Not a lot, but I like to keep busy.
Yeah. So Jennifer was actually our liaison when we foster failed Pepper and Bella, two of the three dogs that are the inspiration for Three Dogs and a Dude. And this rescue that she is a part of, they do just amazing things. I mean, you guys are incredible how much impact you make in the community. And I think a lot of people don't really get all that you guys do and what it takes to make all that happen. So let's talk a little bit about that. I mean, how long, tell us about Beauties and Beasts, first of all. How long has Beauties and Beasts been a thing here in the Wichita area?
So Beauties and Beasts has been around since 2014.
Okay.
And it was started by a woman named Amy Hegestead who never really had any experience or association with pit bulls, right?
Okay.
And her daughter actually found a pit bull running as a stray in a neighborhood, and she took it in, and she ended up keeping the dog, couldn't find the owner. And then she drove by the Wichita Animal Shelter every day on her way to work. And one day she went in to see how many dogs were in there, and realized that there are dogs that were going into the Wichita Animal Shelter that were never coming out. They were being euthanized. And so she started asking questions and kind of talking to people, and realized that there was an opportunity there because those dogs weren't being marketed. People didn't know that if you lost your dog and you went to look at the animal shelter and you found your dog, yay. But other dogs that were ending up in there as strays in the streets whose owners never came and found them were being euthanized. And so she started this rescue basically with the mission of let's save them and let's get them out of there. And since Beauties and Beasts inception, we have significantly helped not just beauties, but we've built a vast network of rescue partners, not just in the state of Kansas, but in Colorado, Nebraska, Minnesota, all over the Midwest part of the United States. And so our volunteers go in to the shelter every single day. They take video, they take pictures, we post it on our Facebook page, we monitor the euthanasia list and deadlines in the hopes of either getting those dogs direct adopted out of the shelter and or transferred into, if not our rescue, a different rescue to save lives.
Right. And in that 8 years since you guys have been doing that, I only assume it's impacted the way like the Kansas Humane Society markets their dogs, because you see them doing that more on social media with some of their dogs that are over in their adoption floor and adoption center. But that's not really your forte. I mean, most of those dogs, a lot of those dogs are going to get adopted,
right?
And they're starting to market them, and they're doing a great job with that. But you guys are helping those dogs that are over on the other side, that are never seeing the floor where the public's walking through looking to adopt a dog and things like that.
Correct. The public can walk through the shelter to look for dogs, especially dogs that are available to be direct adopted. But a lot of people just don't know, right? That those facilities are together, which is great. But people typically go to the right to go into the Kansas Humane Society when the dogs in the Wichita Animal Shelter are to the left.
Right.
And there wasn't, and hasn't been until Beauties stepped up marketing and networking those dogs and cats. We have a cat team as well that does amazing work, and they've established rescue networks as well. And so, whether it's a dog that is scared, and so they're showing, a behavior that can be considered somewhat scary because they're very fearful. And the way
I would be fearful in that environment. You throw me in a cold hard floor with the fence in front of me and I
Yeah.
can't go anywhere. Yeah, I'd be freaked out too.
Right. And so we'll go in. Randy Carter goes in every Friday. She's in fact there right this minute, doing her weekly shelter evaluation. So she'll pull out the dogs that seem, aggressively fearful, but pull them out, kind of get them outside, let people see that that's a behavior you're seeing in that point in time, but build some trust with them. And they're amazing dogs.
Yeah.
They're
Yeah.
amazing dogs.
Yeah. I mean, these two never got to the shelter. Actually, Lolo, laying around here somewhere, was actually adopted from Kansas Humane Society, and I saw her on their website, and they had named her Fiona. Well, sorry, Lolo. We had to quickly change that and fix that, didn't we? You must have been from the Shrek batch, I think. But yeah, it's a phenomenal thing, and those dogs and the cats, and I mean they've got rabbits at times. They've got all kinds of stuff in there that you can have. But so tell me a little bit. How did you get involved with Beauties and Beasts? Because your day job with the American Red Cross isn't quite enough of give back and be there when people are in their time of need. So you had to do more.
I had to do more. I my 30-year anniversary is coming up with the American Red Cross because I started there when I was 12.
Yep.
And so back in 2016, my husband used to coach soccer teams, and so I helped him manage 8 little girls soccer teams, and then that all kind of disbanded. And I'm just a person that likes to be busy. And so I was kind of trying to figure out, I love my job with the American Red Cross. Obviously, I've been there for a long time and I love our mission, but what were other things I could get engaged with that would make a difference? And so I saw actually Amy and Randy on a news broadcast one night at the shelter talking about how they were not able to go into certain medical halls to see dogs and how those dogs, were at peril and risk of euthanasia. And so I thought, well, that's interesting. I didn't know that much about the animal shelter or how it operated. And then a couple of weeks later, I see Beauties and Beasts back on the news. Randy was driving around in a neighborhood and saw a teenager just kicking and punching this poor dog. And she stopped the car and she said, "Hey, give me that dog or I'm calling the police." Because that's not the way you obviously treat a dog. She did call the police. The police did confiscate the dog. The dog ended up in Beauties and Beasts care, and she tried to work with that teenager to teach him the proper way that you train a dog.
Train a dog, correct a dog.
Right, and it's not through kicking and punching. And when I saw that, I was like, okay, I have to figure out who these women are. I have to figure out who this rescue is. And so I went to their first annual fur ball because it was around the same time. And then I decided to volunteer, and I've been there ever since.
Wow, that's fantastic. That's fantastic. Yeah. We found, and I actually had seen some of the stuff where they were fighting for I think some of the policies and procedures. I saw Randy on TV and I was like, okay, these people have huge hearts to go. Because these dogs can't fight for themselves. They can't speak for themselves.
Yeah, and it's not always easy to stand up and challenge people because everybody's in it for the same reason. The way we get there is not always the same. And so there is sometimes some disagreement in the way that the shelter manages things or we manage things. But at the end of the day, it is all about saving these dogs' lives. And I think having the bravery and the compassion that Randy and Amy have what helped this rescue become what it is today. They don't back down. They will do what it takes to be the voice for the voiceless, regardless of what the issue on any given day happens to be.
Yeah, that commitment's amazing. And so tell my listeners a little bit about the rescue itself. I mean, you guys have, we were talking a little bit right before the show, at any given time, how many dogs you guys have in your care that you have pulled that otherwise would have been euthanized probably.
Yeah, I think
Pepper's very interested in this segment.
Hello, sweet girl. So we, on average, probably have anywhere from 150 to 200 dogs in care. Some of them are in boarding. Most of them are in foster care. And it's not just dogs that come through the shelter. For example, we have somebody reach out and say, "Oh my gosh, my dog got pregnant. she's getting ready to have a litter of puppies. We can't. Hello, Pepper. We can't care for all these puppies, and so we may bring that female mama into care and, help the puppies. We make sure they get spayed and neutered because we're breaking that cycle. I mean, that's the biggest problem, right? People don't spay and neuter their pets, and that's why we have this overpopulation of dogs and cats.
Mm-hmm.
And so, that's one of the things that the rescue does outside of helping dogs at risk of euthanasia. If somebody sees a dog on a chain that's not being cared for, they'll message into us. We have a group of volunteers called the Beast Crew, and they will go out and assess the situation. In some cases, the owners surrender the dogs over to our care. In other cases, we have to get the authorities involved.
Mm-hmm.
Chevelle is one of those cases. If people who follow us, he was found last fall. We were contacted by a landlord who found the dog on her property, and he was in really, really bad shape. Had been on a chain, was tethered, didn't have access to water. There was a really disgusting bowl or pot of rice next to him with, of course, bugs in it, and part of his tongue was missing. I mean, he was just in horrible, horrible shape. And one of our volunteers went out to assess, scooped him up, got him off to urgent care. Dr. Cedarberg at Urgent Pet Center took amazing care of him. He ended up at K-State. He ended up at Colorado State University. We spent a lot of money on that dog, and people sometimes criticize us for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because it's, you could have done so much more with that money, or you could have helped so many other dogs. But the thing of it is, and I see this at Red Cross too, we couldn't have raised that amount of money for multiple dogs. It is the fact that Chevelle needed that care and his story that allowed us to raise the money needed to cover Chevelle's cost of care. And Chevelle is an amazing dog. And the person who went out that day and scooped him up off that chain and rushed him to urgent care is the person that adopted him, which just makes that story even more special.
Yeah, that's one of those things that when you see those cases and you hear about that, and it tugs at people's heartstrings, and but the awareness is the key.
The awareness is the
getting
key.
the word out, like getting people aware of what's going on and how they can help, because a lot of people, they'd love to do something to help,
Sure,
but maybe they don't have the time. But you know what? If they've got $5, that $5 can get stretched a long, long ways. It doesn't have to be a $500 donation.
It does
or
not.
$1,000. I mean, if you've got $2, it helps, and it's amazing what can happen. I mean, a lot of my listeners have heard the story of Pepper and Bella and where they came from in a horrible, horrible hoarding situation. And I think you guys ended up pulling, well, there were like 33 dogs, I think, taken, and there were some that were previously relocated. That, but I mean, I'll throw another picture up of Pepper when these wonderful people rescued her that day, and you can see the situation she's in. And Pepper needs a haircut now. Pepper didn't have 6 hairs on her body when we first got her, and Bella, the hound dog, she Bella the Great. She's her DNA says she's part Great Dane, part Great Pyrenees. So, but she looks like a big Rhodesian Ridgeback. So there's that. But she was as broke as I think I've ever seen a dog.
Yeah.
And and you guys don't, you run into that situation way too much. I mean, you just had another situation like that.
We do. And what's amazing to me is that the Humane Society of the United States is who brings us in on those cases. And so we've built that reputation, and they know if they call on us to go help with a situation like that, we will be there. We have phenomenal volunteers in our rescue that when things like that are happening, our team may not know when we're on scene, but as soon as we can say, hey, this is what's going on, this is what's incoming, we need help. And I mean, within a matter of minutes, you will have 15 to 20 Beauties volunteers descending on our building, setting up kennels, setting up water bowls, getting the food ready. Just it's fascinating how quickly this group of volunteers come together and get it done. And it's fascinating to me too that, again, we've built that relationship with the Humane Society of the United States that we know when Midge emails or calls Randy or Amy and says, hey, we need your help. she knows she can count on us to be there because we will always be there.
Hmm.
And so, like with Pepper and Bella, that was the situation where the Humane Society of the United States was brought in by a county sheriff due to their situation and condition. And we were on scene with them pulling dogs out of that home, Bella and Pepper being two of them. And then, HSUS also networks with other rescues. So, yes, we originally had most of those dogs come into our facility, but we were very quickly establishing which rescue was taking which dogs and where they were going and helping coordinate that transport. So within a few days, most of them were gone, but some of them stayed in Beauty's care, like Bella and Pepper.
And Pepper is a hot mess now.
She is. And what it just, I think about it a lot, when I came out to do your home check, because our adoption process is you apply, we do a reference check, we'll check with your current vet. We will come out to your home and make sure it's the right fit for the dog you're applying for. And I knew the dog that you all had applied for was already being adopted. And then this case came, and I thought those two dogs would be great well, I knew Pepper might be a great dog for you. And then I kind of conned you into taking Bella too.
Yeah, we've had that conversation. So that whole process was amazing to me as we went through it, because Heather was going on, and she had actually, I think she had applied for a puppy, and I was like, how is that puppy still there? That's way too cute. It's not going to be there. And so then Jennifer came out to do our home check, and she met Lolo, the cattle dog, the white dog, and on the 3 dogs and a dude. And, you know, she broke the news that the puppy was probably not going to be available, but then mentioned these guys. And I had just seen the news story about the whole thing. And so I was like, I remember when I saw that picture, that pitiful picture of Pepper, when you didn't have any hair on your body except for that white tuft on top of your head. And I couldn't decide if you were a hyena, if you were Ed the hyena from The Lion King, or if you were Spike from the Gremlins. Little did we know that you were Pepper, and that you would become part of us. But yeah, that process, I mean, with the home check, called our references, called our vet. I mean, I've gotten jobs with less background check than you guys do for these dogs, but I think that's phenomenal, because you got to make sure they're going to the right places, because there are some people who have, bad intentions for getting dogs and things like that. So you guys take that out of play as much as you can too, which is fantastic. And then we met Pepper, and you saw Sucker written across our foreheads. And after we learned how bonded they were with Bella, yes, you're right over here. You're just off stage, aren't you? But we don't know what we'd do without them now. Yeah. I mean, they're fantastic. They've come so far. This one's crazy, but this one's probably a record setter. You want to come up? No? All right. She's shy. She doesn't like to be on the spotlight.
Yeah. We saw early on when they came out of the home that, Bella was extremely fearful, but if you could get Pepper out and get her close to Bella, Bella would follow Pepper wherever wherever Pepper was going. And so, with that confidence that fearful dogs get from other dogs is so important. And we're so thankful to you and Heather for keeping them together and allowing us to come over and visit them and still allow us to be part of their lives, because they are very special to us.
Well, and you like helping out promoting Furball, don't you, Pepper? You got dressed up and got to ride in the limo and all that fun stuff. And now we can do it back in person again.
Yes.
So that's something that these guys do. So all you listeners and viewers out there, go check them out. What's your website?
Beautiesandbeasts.org.
And so you can donate right there. It's super easy. Like I said, it doesn't have to be $100. It could be $5.
Absolutely.
If you've got something and something tugs at your heartstrings, or you see something and you don't have the time to volunteer, if you've got time to volunteer, they're always looking for dog walkers down there.
Yes. Yeah. We maintain around roughly 40 dogs in our boarding facility. Some of them are the heart of the place dogs, right? They may not be dog social. They want to be the only pet in the home. Some of them have pretty traumatic backgrounds, and so it takes a bit to warm up to new people. Mm-hmm. But they're all amazing dogs, and we love them very much. And every Saturday morning, that's what I call my weekly therapy, is to go up and walk the dogs in boarding. And there's, I think, 7 or 8 of us that routinely do that. And then same thing on Sunday morning, there's a group, and every day there's volunteers that go in and walk the dogs, and we take them on dates out to the park. swing through Spangles and get them a cheeseburger and some ice cream. And
Don't tell her cheeseburgers and ice cream. She's already gotten told by her vet that she needs to cut back on the cheeseburgers.
oh, it's
So,
okay.
but I
It's
figure there's worse things she can do than have a couple extra cheeseburgers after all they've been through.
absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
so your day job,
My day job.
American Red Cross, you just got back from seeing some of the stuff that happened down in New Orleans with the tornado. I mean, but that's not all you guys do. I mean, you guys do so much to help the community, and usually when you guys get involved, it's people's worst day of their lives.
Absolutely. It is. And so, within the Red Cross there are what we call 5 lines of service. So we have our blood services
Hmm.
where you can go and donate blood, which is very important. We have our humanitarian services, which is our disaster response for the most part. We have international services because we do have folks, out in around the world. We have our service to the armed forces, which is how the Red Cross came to be,
Hmm.
was with Clara Barton after the Civil War. And then we have our training services, so CPR,
Hmm.
most people know. So if you think about the Red Cross and those things, blood, most people know somebody who's fighting cancer or has had a blood transfusion. Most people know somebody whose home has caught on fire and or, have been involved in like a tornado, especially here in Kansas. Um, Most people know somebody in the military. The Red Cross is the only organization that the military allows to connect military members with their loved ones when they're on deployment. So
Hmm.
if a military service person is deployed and there's an emergency here back home in the States, it's the Red Cross that helps connect that military member with their family to get them back home for that emergency. So if you think about all of those things and the services and the mission of the American Red Cross, we touch people's lives in every way. And it's another nonprofit organization. I spent most of my time in the Red Cross on the blood services side,
Hmm.
but within the past 5 or 6 years, transitioned over to the humanitarian services side of the house, and I love it. It can be, just like rescue. You see some really tough things, and you see people who are literally going through the worst time of their lives, but knowing that the Red Cross is there and we're offering that helping hand and we're putting a blanket around them and we're helping connect them to other longer term services, it just, I don't know, there's just something compelling, and it must be the way my mama raised me is to help human or help animal. And it's two things I'm very passionate about and love my what I call my paid job and then my not paid job,
Right?
because I do spend a lot of time doing rescue off hours, but I love every minute of both.
Yeah. No, you put your heart and soul into everything you do, and I mean, we consider you a part of our family at this point. I mean, it's funny how many times your ears are probably burning because Pepper will do something, and Heather will say, "Oh, you need to send that picture to Jennifer." Or Pepper, when Pepper gets in trouble, we might send you over to Jennifer's, huh?
Well, especially when the Chiefs are playing and you guys got all your Chiefs gear on
Yep.
cheering on the team. It's so
Yeah.
cute.
There-
And I love the fact that, just last week we were searching for one of our fosters who was lost and we knew he was somewhere maybe down by the river, and it was like, Tobin, I think we need a drone, and you immediately are like, "Yep, I can be there."
Yeah, it's one of those things that, now that I know about your mission and what it is, and I'm one of those. I'm the exact case in point. I'm the person who may not have all the time to go volunteer, but if I can help with with some of my skills and services and things that I do, I'm a licensed drone pilot for those of you that don't know, and so was able to get a couple of my drones out and search up and down the river, and I was literally about 200 yards from where he was found as I was working down the riverbanks going that way. And I get the text that we've got him. And I'm like, oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah.
I mean, the feeling we get when you do, and there's a personal tie to that too, because Miss Bella over here did that to us. Gosh, they'd only been here 3 months maybe.
Mhm.
And she decided to go on, take herself on a walk as we had somebody staying with her as we were out of town, and pulled away and got to spend a December night out on her own. And we our vacation got cut short. We were down in Arizona and got cut short, and we were back the next day. So, but we did find her the next afternoon, and then I think that was when it was solidified in Heather's mind that we needed to see if Bella could just forever be home, and we were worried that we'd screwed up so bad that they were going to take them both. So,
No.
but
But again, that was another situation where, hey, Bella's out, Beauties come help, and Tom and Amber and Jody and myself, Kristen, we're all driving around, we're tromping through the
Through the fields, yeah.
fields, trying to find Bella because we are just that committed to our dogs and cats. We want to make sure not only do they get great homes, but that it's a forever home. And if adopters need help in whatever way, we try to do what we can to help.
Yeah, you guys are like an army of support. It's kind of like the bat signal goes up and here come all the beauties. And it was just amazing to me. And so that's why it's near and dear to me when I see those situations like you guys had with Rufus.
Mm-hmm.
Rufus got scared and took off. And, that night, the first night you called me, I was like, I had just gotten done with the project and didn't have time to get it up before it was dark. But I went down and drove around on my way home because it was kind of on the way. But I was like, man, where they're looking is very urban, very tight, very small, condensed. The houses are right on top of each other. I was like, man, if I'm a scared dog, thinking in Bella's terms, I'm going the other way because the river walk, there's nobody over there. There's very limited people over there, I guess I'll say that. But that's why I was like, maybe this is where I'm going to focus with the drones. And I was probably 10 minutes from being over the campsite where she was found. So,
Yeah.
But no, it's amazing to see what you guys do. And, I encourage all of my listeners, if you get a chance, go check them out at beautiesandbeasts.org. Check it out. They've got a fantastic fundraiser they do in the fall called Fur Ball. It's exactly what you think of. It's kind of like an adult prom and a fundraiser for the dogs, and some of their dogs are there. It's a fantastic experience. Pepper actually got to help with it a couple years ago and be in attendance, and she's done some commercials for it as well. But
we already have our date. It's going to be a little bit earlier this year than normal, but it's November 5th at the Hyatt. It's a night of food and dogs and cats, and we share a lot of the great work that we've done throughout the year at Furball. We definitely try to have dogs there. Sometimes we have the puppies there, so it's a great night. If tickets aren't on sale yet, but we are looking for sponsorship. So if you're a company or an individual and you want to sponsor Furball, we're going to have a VIP hour this year, which is new.
Nice.
So certain sponsorship levels get to come in before everybody else that has purchased tickets and kind of mingle with the board members and volunteers and just get more of a one-on-one, because Furball can be very busy and it's a lot of presentation and speaking, but you don't necessarily get to connect one-on-one with supporters or board members or some of our key volunteers. And so it's a way for us to have that before the actual event starts, just to show our appreciation to our sponsors and let them ask questions to us.
Right. No, it's so November 5th at the Hyatt.
November 5th.
Get that date saved on your calendar. When will tickets go on sale, do you think?
They'll probably go on sale within the next couple of months. We need to solidify a few things. The Furball team is already meeting and talking about what great things we're going to plan for Furball this year. So
okay. So check them out at beautiesandbeasts.org. Go follow them on Facebook at Beauties and Beasts. They have fantastic stuff that they put up there. If you like animals, you're going to find something that you're going to enjoy there.
Yeah, and if you can't volunteer and you can't donate, share a post, man. The way to get those dogs and cats out of that shelter, sometimes you share that post and somebody sees that dog and they make an instant connection. And it sounds corny, but I can't tell you how many times that has happened. Like when I've, called somebody to schedule a home check and they say, well, I saw their picture and there's something about that dog speaking to me. And I'll tell you what, once they meet, it is crazy the instant bond that dog can have with that human.
Well, I remember Pepper. Pepper was in Heather's lap in 5 seconds at your headquarters that day we had the meet and greet. Yep. I mean, the tail wagging the dog literally. Bella was not quite so quick to jump in people's laps, but she's getting there. She'll sit on my lap and watch a football game now. Or this week watching the Masters. They enjoy watching the Masters. I think they like the birds chirping. So, but it's a lot of fun. They're great. And you guys, the organization, what you guys do for our community, I can't thank you enough. I mean, you the biggest heart of anybody I know. It's always fun, and I know the girls are always excited when you come over. I mean, Pepper literally was hard to contain herself, waggling there as she greeted you at the door. So What can our viewers do to help with your Red Cross side? Is there something that you guys have going right now, a drive or something that you guys need help with?
Actually, blood donation, blood is always needed. And I think, we always seem to struggle with keeping up with the demand. But there is a Red Cross event coming up in May 21st, called Sound the Alarm,
Mhm.
where we volunteers go into specific communities where maybe they don't have a working smoke alarm,
Okay.
because a home fire is really what you see when the Red Cross responds. It's the big disasters,
Right. The
Hurricane
big
Harvey,
national event. Yeah.
Hurricane Ida. But every day there's a home fire somewhere, multiple across the United States. And sometimes people don't make it out because they either don't have a fire escape plan or they don't have a working smoke alarm. So one of the things we do year round, but it's a big event called Sound the Alarm that they're doing here in Wichita on May 21st, is we'll go into homes in a community, talk to them about fire safety,
Mhm.
help them make a fire escape plan, and install smoke alarms in their home if they need them. And that is just life saving. And we've seen case after case of where a smoke alarm definitely saved a life. So that's coming up. You can check that out on the Red Cross Facebook page too. They're recruiting volunteers for that event. I've done it before. It's a good time. It really helps connect you with people in your community as well. Um, Donations as well. I mean, Red Cross is a large nonprofit organization, but we're everywhere, and it takes a lot of money in order for us to help people. So again, even a $5 donation is impactful. You get
Right.
1,000 people making 5,000 or $5 donations. That's significant.
Right. Right. And that money goes fast when you get those big national events, but the impact it has on those individual families with the fire or the flood or whatever happens, that impact is huge. So it's good to be able to give back. Um, Pepper, do you have anything to say? She's about to fall asleep here. She's decided to make herself comfortable. She's no longer entertained by Dad talking on the podcast, but
She is just the sweetest girl.
she's quite a personality.
She is.
But um, I think with that, anything else from the Beauties and Beasts side that you guys have going right now that you need some help with? I mean, we don't have the biggest listenership yet, but we're getting there. It's growing organically, and we're over 300 subscribers now. So thank you guys all for subscribing and liking, and wherever you get your podcast or on YouTube. Um, but it's growing gradually. We're getting there. Our goal is to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of a year. So
Nice.
we're on path there, and it's because of the dogs and the guests that I have. It's definitely not the host. Um, but yeah, if there's something you guys have going with Beauties and Beasts coming up, any events that you guys
Oh,
might have, or
so many events. It's so nice that now that we're kind of outside of COVID, that we
right,
can actually get back together. I should have pulled them all up. There are so many. I know we have a spring spectacular coming up, which is an adoption event. It'll be at Hyde Park, which is close to the rescue, so we can get 30 to 40 dogs in the park in like a 2 to 3 hour period for people to come and meet them. Because that is what makes us a little bit different. We're largely foster based, so there's not a building you can come and see our dogs
right,
yet. Um, Big things coming in our future. So we have a spring spectacular coming up. We'll be at the Women's Fair
okay,
in a couple of weeks. So that's exciting. I think they're going to do like a dog runway
oh fun, a little
show, which
modeling show,
yes, a little modeling show. So that'll
nice,
be fun. We have our poker run coming up on June 18th. So that starts at Bourbon Street, and it's going to go to several different locations around Wichita. That's always a great time. People love our poker run. We're involved with a couple of cornhole tournaments this
it's getting big,
in June. Yeah.
yeah,
And so we've been contacted by a couple of different places where we're going to be the beneficiaries of some of the money raised outside of the cash prizes. So that's amazing and fun.
that's cool,
There's just, if you go to our Facebook page, Beauties and Beasts Facebook page, you can see our events. And there's tomorrow we've got pictures with the Easter Bunny at Wolfgang. I mean, there's just again, our volunteers, the way we're able to do all this is through volunteers and fosters. So if you've ever thought about volunteering, please come help us. If you've ever thought about fostering cats or dogs, we would love to have you, because our capacity is limited to the number of fosters that we have. And
hmm
it's really, really hard for us to turn away from a dog or a cat in need. But if you can't volunteer and you can't foster, you can always donate. Like Tobin said, $5 helps. And if that's not possible, like our Facebook page, share some of our posts, advocate, talk to people about adoption and send them our way if anybody's looking
Right.
for a new fur baby.
Right. I mean, so many people on social media, whether it's Facebook for us old folks, my daughter, that younger generation think it's for the old people now, or
Well, we are on TikTok and
Instagram,
Instagram.
TikTok, Instagram,
We do
Twitter,
have
all
those.
those platforms. It's amazing how many connections everybody has. And so if they all like and share, the number of eyes that gets served to is just enormous.
Our reach on Facebook has been truly amazing. We have over 100,000 followers, and there are dogs that have been at the shelter in Wichita that have been adopted from people in New York, from people in Washington, D.C., from people in Oregon. We had some puppies go out to a father and son, one adopted one puppy and one adopted the other puppy. And, they're living the life out in Oregon. So it's amazing how far some of our dogs have gone to the most spectacular people and into the best homes. And we love it.
That's great. Yeah, you just never know where that connection is going to be made. And, you know, like it, share it. I will selfishly ask you all, if you're listening to this on one of your podcast sources, wherever you get your podcast, I'm going to ask you, go to YouTube, search for Three Dogs and a Dude, and click the subscribe button. Feel free to watch this episode with Jennifer, and I will put a list of their events up there on the screen. I'll also put their Facebook handle and their website URL, so it's real easy for you guys to find. I'll make sure and put that right into the intro screen so you guys can see it all. You don't even have to watch the whole 35, 40 minutes of it if you don't want to, but if you do, we appreciate you. But if you could click that subscribe button, that helps us grow our viewership. And if you share this with just one person or you just click share, it helps grow it immensely as well. And we like getting the word out. And I mean, that's why it's Three Dogs and a Dude. I mean, these three dogs have changed our lives so much. And I'm their dude, and I'm just kind of here to open the doors and let them outside and fill the food and water bowls and take them on car rides and all that. Well, car rides, that got you good, didn't it? That got you. You like going on car rides, don't you? She's learning so many words right now. It's
She's such a smart girl.
it's amazing how smart she is. And interestingly, you'll find this funny. Bella is becoming the stubborn one.
Oh.
She's the straggler in from outside at night when it's that last trip out, and she's like, "No, I'm not ready yet." And so she kind of just saunters back after the third call. The other two are like, "Nope, I'm getting a warm spot in bed." And she's just like doing her own thing now. And it used to be the other way. She used to be like, "Oh my God, I'm going to get left out or whatever." Right. And now she's comfortable. And
she knows you're not going to leave her outside all night.
She saves me from the UPS guy and the mail guy and the neighbor with the big truck across the street on a daily basis. She warns me and all that. So she gets treats for that when she stops. So we're trying to train her that it's okay to let me know.
Yeah.
And when I say good or settle, and then she gets treats on settle, and she's learning. Nice. So, and then Pepper, I'm pretty sure if I just put a training book down for Pepper, she could read it to herself.
I bet she could.
And what's interesting is these two, for those of you that don't know, Lolo is deaf. She still listens better than my daughter sometimes, but that's a whole nother story. But when these two bark, she feels that vibration, like the sound wave of it. And so they've kind of become her ears. So she could be in a dead sleep. And now she was barking she was dead asleep and then barked at the door after they barked. And I'm like, you don't even know what you're barking at, dummy. But she wanted to be part of the group. So, well, Jennifer, we appreciate you coming on today. Like I said, we will put everything onto our YouTube so we can share that. Wherever you guys find this, make sure you share it out. Go check out beautiesandbeasts.org. Go check out the American Red Cross. Help out where you can. It's kind of fun now that we're out of COVID and we're able to get out and do it a little more. It's also nice to be able to give back too. And check out those events. I like to see you guys all at Furball November 5th. And if any of my friends that are business owners are looking for sponsorships and ways to get your name out with a good cause, good food and drink involved in that too. It's a really good time. I highly encourage you guys, check it out. And when those tickets go on sale, we'll make sure and share that on our sources too. So with that, we will close it down. Pepper, do you have anything to add?
Just that she's cute.
Just that you're cute and a hot mess, right? All right, we'll hit the button. Thanks for listening to this episode of Three Dogs and a Dude. Make sure you subscribe to Three Dogs and a Dude at your favorite podcast outlet. Search 3 Dogs and a Dude, number 3 Dogs and a Dude, at your favorite podcast outlet and give us a follow. You can also find us on the web at 3dogdude.com. That's number 3 dogdude.com. We look forward to seeing you next time. Until then, for the 3 dogs, this is their dude signing off.
Hip hop.